Welcome back to Voices from Lichfield District, a podcast where we discuss the topics the residents from Lichfield District want to hear. From light-hearted to controversial, we are here to talk about it all. I'm Maddie.
And I'm Harry.
And today we are talking about recycling.
Yes.
Yeah. But first, how are you? How's your week been?
Good, yeah. I guess since we've last spoke, I've quit smoking and vaping.
Oh, wow.
Which is, good change.
Yeah, how's that been? Has it been tough?
It's been a bit difficult, but my friends have started quitting at the same time, so I think that makes things a bit easier. But
100%.
What about you?
I passed my driving test yesterday.
Congratulations!
Yeah.
Congratulations! I think a round of applause is in order. Well done.
Yeah, I'm officially allowed out on the roads, so
I'll
be worried.
Extra careful when I'm crossing them.
Yeah, definitely make sure I'm nowhere near the zebra crossing. That's one thing off my mind. So yeah, happy about that.
Awesome. So should we kick things off, I guess, straight into recycling?
Yeah, definitely. It's a big topic to cover.
Yeah. So I guess starting off, what do you do to recycle?
The normal kind of put your cardboard in your recycling bin and other food waste in separate bins. To be fair, when I started thinking about recycling, my first thoughts was school and secondary school. I did a lot of making bird feeders out of old plastic bottles and things like that. And in my sixth form, we did a project, a young enterprise project, and our whole product was reusable straws, all centered around saving the environment, reducing plastic and stuff. So that was a really cool experience for me and kind of where my mind went. Yeah. Yeah. How about you?
Similar, I guess. And then there's also sort of upcycling, which is turning clothes into other clothes, cutting jeans, turning them into shorts, stuff like that, which is cool. Yeah, that is cool. I actually, talking about that straw thing, what was the name of that product? Because you were talking to me before. It had a great name.
It was Schlurp.
Schlurp.
It was good. It's the noise you make when you drink up a straw. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I like that.
Our slogan was saving the world one Schlurp at a time.
Very
which
good.
I think is, marketing gold there. Our brilliant 17-year-old minds came up with that. To be fair, at the time it was pretty relevant because I don't know if you remember, well, you will remember, it was only a few years ago, but the whole thing with McDonald's and Starbucks and all the kind of coffee shops, restaurants had to stop using plastic straws. Yeah. And that was right around the time. So
you have to pay.
Yeah.
Very fitting then.
Yeah.
But if you would have to guess, I'll give you a question now. If you'd have to guess how much plastic waste in the UK is sent overseas to be recycled, what would you guess?
God, you know what? I never really thought about this.
Percentage?
I don't know. A percentage?
Okay,
I'll say 60%.
You're close.
Oh my!
It's 2/3 of plastic waste is sent overseas to be recycled, which is, I think that's around 600,000 tons of plastic packaging, which is
that's a lot of recycling.
Quite a lot. But I'm not actually too sure where plastic goes after you put it in the bin and gets sorted and stuff. It gets turned into other bottles and stuff, right?
Yeah, you see it now, I think, quite a lot in supermarkets and things. You'll get this bottle was made from something else, another bottle or some other piece of recycling. Is your water bottle?
My water bottle I've got right now, 100% recycled bottle. Yeah. Smart water.
You do see that quite a lot now in products, I think, made with recycled materials or recyclable. And it's not a tiny little text on the bottle. It's massive print because people want to save the planet. Exactly. People care about climate change and
I think it is. Yeah. It is so important. Just recycling is for sustainability. I think every year apparently recycling saves the amount of energy that it would take to power 14 million homes for a full year. So
it's a really important thing to do.
Yeah, that's the equivalent of turning off the power for 1 out of every 10 homes for an entire year.
God. So, I think for something so important, I don't think I personally know enough about it. I mean, like, I know you don't put like your leftover sausage and mash in your recyclables. Yeah. Like, I know, but I don't know why.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I know food can't be moved. Like, yeah, I know. But I mean, like, I suppose you can compost food.
Yeah. My parents are very keen gardeners. So, yeah, they're big into composting.
Yeah.
All of that sort of stuff. I think, the bottom line is sustainability is just hugely important in a world where we're sort of running out of natural resources.
Yeah, definitely.
And dwindling supplies and stuff. And I think,
it's
very important. Very important.
Yeah.
Have you heard of Germany's recycling approach? I know they've got a very interesting
I haven't.
Plastic bottles. So in Germany, if you buy plastic bottles from, say, a supermarket, the supermarkets have to accept the bottles back, and then they get like charged, and it's regulated. And I think that is a good thing to do. I
think they do that at like the German markets at Christmas. I'm pretty sure if you buy like a drink, you can you take the glass with you, but if you go back and give the glass or bottle or cup back to the store, then you get money off your bill. You get like a pound back or something.
Yeah.
Which I presume is kind of mirroring kind of Germany's thing, but in like a smaller scale. But that's another thing. I mean, think about the litter that would have been left in those big like community events.
Yeah, I'm sure there was already enough to deal with in events like that.
Yeah.
I mean, other supermarkets in the UK, I know, for example, Waitrose have battery bins to recycle batteries, which is really good.
Yeah, and going back a few years, the 5p plastic bags, rather than, encouraging people to get like a bag for life, rather than just wasting like the plastic supermarket bags.
Yeah, I think that when you look at it, there is so many changes that have sort of happened in the last however many years. Yeah,
that's definitely something that I thought when I was kind of researching and just even thinking about it. I was like, oh, I remember that. That. And I was like, that is all to do around recycling, sustainability, protecting our environment and everything.
Yeah.
And I think recycling is such a big topic that we do need to have like an expert, somebody to talk to. But you did an interview, didn't you?
Yes, I caught up with Steve G. So he's an operations manager here at LDC.
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
Yeah.
Well, Steve, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
We'll kick straight off with the questions then. So can you explain your background and how you sort of got working with recycling?
Yeah, sure I can. I've always worked in logistics and supply chain since finishing colleges many, many years ago. But around about 16 years ago, I got some consultancy work with a fleet operator in a local authority. So, truth is, like many, I sort of stumbled into recycling. But what I would say is, like most of us in the industry, once I've discovered it and the recycling world, I don't want to change. It's an industry I don't want to come out of. It's fun. It's innovative. There's loads of clever stuff going on, lots of clever ideas that are constantly happening and evolving in the industry. The other thing as well, because people talk about recycling, what I do like about it, it's a really complex supply chain. And again, that's something that really surprises many, many people because we all just think it's rubbish, it's recycling.
Yeah.
It's probably more complex than some of the supply chains I worked in with one or two major supermarkets.
Oh, wow.
The other thing that I really like about this industry, though, why I came into it, it's about sustainability and it's about recycling, and it's the difference that you can genuinely make a difference. So you go home, you've made a difference to your communities, and also, a little bit over the top, but to the wider world.
Yeah.
So you can make a difference. While I got the audience, I also want to make a bit of a shameless plug because we're not the most glamorous industry in the
Of course, go for it.
In the country. But the government are saying that the green economy is going to generate around about 250,000 jobs by 2030, 2035. There's going to be a lot of skilled jobs out there for engineers, scientists, communications experts, marketing people, operators. It's a list that really does genuinely go on. And as an industry, we need to attract quality people into it in order that we can make it continue to be successful and to impact on the UK economy.
Absolutely.
But yeah, briefly, that's how I got into it.
Yeah, that's great. Sounds like the industry's only going to grow then from the sounds of it. If you had to explain recycling to someone, say, who doesn't know anything about it, what would you sort of describe it as, the process?
Okay, that's quite a broad-ranging question, but what I would say that the world has got a finite amount of resources in it. So ideally, we would save these resources by never using them. That might be the trees that we're chopping down, stuff that we're digging out of the ground, but we'd never use anything. And if we can't do that, what we want to do is to keep reusing them so that they actually never run out. If we can't do that, once we throw stuff away, we then want to be able to recycle it and reuse it again and again and again. So the truth is we've got to have recycling, because the reality is we all like stuff, and I will use the term stuff, but we all need stuff, we all like stuff. So recycling gives us a chance to use those products and those things that we have, but also to recycle them so that we can use that product again and again and again and again. Really, really simple example. If I drink a can of pop or you drink a can of pop, that can either be thrown away and end up being lost forever, or it's made of aluminium. You put that into the recycling, that goes up to the reprocessor, it gets reworked, and before you know it, that is a can of pop. It's another can of pop that you're buying and using the same product, and that life can last forever. So that's what recycling is about for me. The concept called the circular economy that the industry talks about, which sounds very grand, but what it's actually talking about is using that raw material again and again. So it goes around the loop, comes back into the process, around and around and around, in theory forever. Hope that helps.
No, definitely, yeah. It's very interesting. With I guess with cans and sort of bottles and stuff. The water bottle I've got right now, it says "Have we met before?" 100% recycled. So, I could have drank from that same plastic before.
And that is the beauty of it. Most things that you see around us that we use, if we do recycle rather than just throw them out, they will have another life. From the paper that we use to the card, to the aluminium, to the steel. It's the vast majority of things that we do use. Yeah, as you said, with the sort of resources, we've only got so much. So, so can you explain sort of what happens to recycling from being collected from the van, and then where does it go? Because I guess people never really see that side of it. Yeah, I think it's a very, 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 very valid question. One of the things as an industry we get accused of is that people go, well, what happens to it? It goes overseas, it gets burnt, you don't recycle it. Promise you 100%, cross my heart and all that. It does get reused. So what actually happens within Lichfield, I will say Tamworth as well, because we are part of a joint waste service, that we send our vehicles out, they collect the rubbish which our residents have kindly sorted out for us. It's then taken to something called a MRF, an MRF, a material recycling centre, where basically the product is sorted out into different elements. So all the plastics are sorted out by their various types, PET, PPE, all the aluminium and steel sorted out, the paper's put into a pile with the card. So all these products are sorted out in great detail. You even have plants where they are sorting out the glass by colour, so the green glass, the white glass, the etc. It's then moved on to recycling plants around the country. I will say around the country with the Lichfield product, because people again think that stuff going to the European market or the Eastern Asian markets, all our recycling product is staying within the UK. But what we do with it is our paper and cardboard, so the stuff that we put into the blue bags, that goes off to paper mills, where it's basically turned back into paper or cardboard boxes. So this morning you may have taken delivery from Amazon. There are other companies, obviously. That box has probably been recycled a number of occasions. So it's the cardboard that you throw out this morning from that box that actually becomes the box that you receive your next delivery in. If you're reading a magazine or a paper, it's generally that paper has been recycled and reused. So the magazine that I was reading this morning, I put into my recycling. and out it becomes being next week's edition.
Yeah.
And it can literally find the market within 7 to 10 days.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. There are a lot of products out there. So all the aluminium and the steel, so all the metals that we do, they've got a finite life. Sorry, they've got a life that never ends. Metal doesn't deteriorate. It will last for huge periods of time. So the metal in the cans that we throw out, they will be recycled. They have a lot of value. To give you an idea, and a ton of aluminium, around about £1,000. So people think this stuff is worth nothing. It's worth big money. It's then reprocessed and it's turned back into cans, cars, parts of spaceships, whatever it is. Anything that's got metal in, it's reworked and reused. Glass. No great surprise here. Glass becomes glass. It keeps on being reworked, doesn't finish. Even the glass which falls out of the process because it's actually, of such a poor quality, gets reused. So that actually turns up in your roads. Doesn't cause punctures, I'll tell you there, and I'll promise you it won't. So it all has a use.
Yeah.
Plastics, and there are a lot of different plastics, and we all hear the evils about plastic, and that we shouldn't use them, single-use plastics, etc., etc., etc. The thing is, plastics that can be recycled, such as the bottle that you're drinking with there, are sorted and are reused and reused. I'll tell a small story, and it's possibly because I'm a bit of an anorak around recycling, but one of my favourite trips in the recycling world was I went on a day trip to a company that basically recycles plastic. And from the morning where we saw that big pile of plastic in a bale, and it was the, inverted commas, the rubbish or the product that you had thrown out this morning, had all been sorted. We then went to a plant where we saw it sorted into all these different types, about 12 different types of plastic. It then got washed and reused. As we got towards the back end of the day, we had to go into another area where it was being produced. So we had to put a food net on my head, cover my feet in the net products. We were going into a food hygiene area. And that same product was being produced into salad trays, carrier bags, which again, you're going into the supermarkets and reusing. So again, despite its bad reputation, plastic can be recycled and is recycled. Where it becomes a problem with all these products is when we throw them away, when we put them into our residual bins, or even worse than that, when we litter them and they get into the wrong places. There are another number of recyclers that Lichfield will look at, from textiles through to batteries, nappies, wherever you want to go. But at the moment, that Lichfield offerings what I've gone through. Yeah,
very interesting. So was it so important for residents to separate their normal waste from recycling? Because obviously does that have big costs for for you guys?
You've almost answered the question for me. I might let you continue with it. It does come down to the economics of it. The reality is that there is a push towards being able to produce decent quality recyclates that producers can reuse. So if we give them, inverted commas, rubbish, which is contaminated with all type of products, it's more difficult to rework. It potentially isn't reworkable.
Yeah.
If we give them decent product, no great surprise, they will give us better money for it. So, for example, though that you've been away on a holiday or down in Cornwall, we'll see that there are systems where they source separate. There are systems that Lichfield use where we use dual stream, which is basically a bin and a bag. So we separate the fibre. There are systems where it all goes into one bin. As a rough rule of thumb, the more separation you do, the better quality the product. So the reason Lichfield separates the paper and the fibre is because we now produce better quality materials. As an example, if a load gets contaminated, and by contaminated because somebody throws in a food product into some paper, it becomes no use. Potentially somebody contaminating a bin means that when it goes away, the whole load gets rejected. So the residents of Lichfield and ourselves end up making, for instance, one load of recycling is probably going to come up with a bill of £3,000 to get rid of that contaminated load.
Wow.
If we take it away to and it's decent product, we're getting good money for it. So we are getting a far better income that that actually pays for the scheme to work. I won't go through the ins and outs of some of the prices, but there were six-figure sums difference between single stream recycling and the recycling with a bag and a bin. It's huge sums of money.
Wow. Yeah, that's actually quite shocking. Like how much difference there is between the two. So jumping back to the dual stream system that you've spoken about, when you're collecting the recycling, I know you've talked about the two separate products. Do these go into different places on the vehicle?
That is 100% right, Harry.
Yeah.
What we have is we have a one vehicle that goes around, but on the back there are two separate compartments. So you've almost got two bodies on the back of the bin lorry. The one compartment collects the plastic, the glass, and the metal, which goes in off the blue bin, and the bag is put into the other side of the vehicle. So the two sides are completely separate. When they're unloaded into different piles and recycled in different ways.
Yeah, I guess, they're two separate products, so it makes sense.
Exactly. What you wouldn't do is you wouldn't pick up all this product, which is worth money, and then contaminate it yourself by putting it into the same vehicle. So we do always, or genuinely we always, put them into separate bodies.
So following on from that, I guess, sort of, what are the benefits of recycling for like residents? What do we see the effects of it?
The benefits of recycling, taken as a broader brush, and please, people are more than welcome to go online and search the net, and they will find this information out. It is available and it's readily available. But the reality is that by recycling rather than sending products it's incineration. We don't send stuff to landfill anymore. We don't send our rubbish to landfill. But by having it recycled, we have a number of benefits. We've already talked about the fact that we don't need new raw materials, that we're actually able to reuse materials, and hence we conserving natural resources. It saves energy. So we're using less energy in process to use recycled materials than we are to use raw product. It can actually protect wildlife and ecosystems. So that little bit of plastic there that you put into your recycling bin is getting reworked in the right way. Yep. We've all heard the horror stories of what's happened with plastic pollution around the country and the world. So we are genuinely helping wildlife and ecosystems. It's reducing emissions. So again, we are producing less emissions by recycling material than we are by sending it off to landfills or sending it off to incineration plants. Incineration plants are still a lot better than they used to be and a lot better than landfills, but not as good as recycling for our carbon footprint.
Yeah.
I'm going to put my operator's head on here and my resident's head from a different way. It costs less. So the reality is that if we recycle more and we put more stuff into our recycling bins rather than into our residual bins, it's a lower cost. It starts to become an income stream rather than a cost. That can only help because what it then means is that the council, and we can even talk about the national government or whatever it may be, have got more money to spend on things that are more important than burning waste.
Yeah.
So in a nutshell, we genuinely all do benefit from recycling. And I'm going to play one of my little personal views. The other reason we should, it's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do from an environmental perspective. It's the right thing to do from a financial perspective. Personally, I think it's the right thing to do from a moral perspective. So the more people buy into it and the more people are willing to do it, the better for us all, both now and into the future.
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely agree. I think, it's something that we should all sort of make ourselves more aware of and sort of, invest in, I guess, because
definitely so.
It's a win-win. So following on from this, I guess, what's Lichfield's recycling rates for us, and like, what do you think can be done to improve it?
Lichfield at the moment is recycling 43% of its product. So within our green waste, our green recycling and our blue bins and our bags and our residual bins, 43% of that product is recycled. I said we do work with Tamworth as well as a joint waste service, and Tamworth at the moment are producing around about 38%. So between the two, it's around about 41%. I would add, and that back in the day, and going back about 15 years ago when I first came across Lichfield Council and our residents, or basically our residents, were the number one recycler in the country. And we were hitting figures around about 55%. And it makes me realise that Lichfield residents do care and are that good that we were, hands up, but we were number one. If we talk around the top recyclers in the country now, and in fairness, because of the system the money's been invested, a number of them are Welsh authorities, Scottish authorities, but the top performers in the country are between 65-70%. At the moment, 43% at Lichfield isn't bad. It really is quite good. It's better than most places. We're in the top 25% of the country. So we are doing a really good job in Lichfield. It's just, I get a little bit greedy. I want to see us getting back towards that top. And I think most of our residents do as well. How can we do it? It's got to be an approach where everyone buys into it. And by everyone, I literally mean from young children through to parents, through to the grandparents, through to basically society as a whole and residents as a whole. We do need to help each other. And that's from a government level, from a local authority level, and from a resident level, from a community level. Because it's quite difficult. What can you recycle? We've all had that problem where we go, can I put that into the bin? Can I put it into the blue bin? Do I put it there? What do I do with it? I work in the industry. I'm supposed to know, but occasionally I will still pick up a product and go, not a clue.
Yeah.
I don't know whether that's recyclable or not. So there is work that we need to do to be able to educate people and to educate ourselves about the products that we can recycle, so that we all recycle the correct products. Added to that, as a council, what we need to do is we need to improve our offering to customers and to residents. We need to be able to expand the number of products that we can recycle. We need to be able to make it easier for people to recycle, so that it's not a hindrance. It's something that we actually do as a natural behaviour. And it's these simple things that we can do that will actually help to improve our recycling rate overall. I would say that there's an element that, as a council, there are things that we need to do, and as an industry, we need to continue working on the technology so that when the product is received, we're able to recycle better quality materials. There's less that falls out of it. But yeah, those are the big things. It's really about everybody buying into the idea, everybody being educated. And again, I'm going to mention that thing again. Everybody being aware that the product that you recycle does go to a proper cause. It does become recyclate.
Yeah.
It doesn't become turning up in a landfill in India. It doesn't become disposed of into the sea. It doesn't get burned. It genuinely does get recycled.
Yeah, I think that's it's a huge thing for people to know where their rubbish is going, I guess, because when you put it in the bin and you don't know where it goes, I guess, do you have the same feelings about like putting the time into it and researching, can this be recycled? Yeah, very much, Harry. You're completely right. And what we will look to do and what we are working on at the moment is starting to get some of that information onto the Lichfield website, so that people can actually view it. And you can actually see that these production plants are in operation. Yeah. This is what they're doing with the product. Yeah. I think people need to realise or people need to understand that basically companies that are investing millions upon millions of pounds in this technology, you're not going to do that unless there's a return for it and a market. Yeah. So yeah, very much so. And we will certainly be pushing or helping people to understand what happens to that product. We've got campaigns coming up where we will go into the schools, and then hopefully your children will come home and explain to you what actually happens to these products. Teach the parents.
Well, it tends to be a very good idea. I have teenage children myself who I'm still trying to educate in the right way. And those of you with teenage children will know that is a challenge.
Absolutely. So what's the one tip that you'd give people to make recycling sort of easier and less time consuming?
I'll try and stick to one tip. As a Lichfield or a Tamworth resident, I would suggest that probably the simplest thing that we can do to help ourselves is that we operate a 2-bin system for our recyclates. So we do paper and card in the bag, and we put the other stuff, the plastic, the cans and the glass, into the blue bin. It's useful if you can establish a system inside your house to make life easier to transfer that product from your house into the bins. So on a personal level, we've got a recycling bin that sits within our house, and it then basically makes it easier for me to get that recyclate out into the bin. The same as the cardboard. I keep my cardboard bag in. I'm fortunate I'm able to keep it right outside my door. So regularly, every time I go out there, any cardboard that I've got into a pile, I'll move it quickly into there.
Yeah.
But that's my number one tip.
Nice. Good tips. So is there any more sort of fun or interactive ways that you could get kids involved in recycling? As you just said, you've got the school campaigns coming up.
Yes.
More about this.
There is a recycling campaign that the council or the Joint Waste Service, Lichfield and Tamworth, are about to launch. It is a good, clear campaign which is trying to sell the benefits which I've spoken about why we should recycle. It's also a campaign that is basically resident-centric. So we have residents talking about why they do it, rather than it being me with a big stick saying you should recycle. That doesn't work. We need everybody to buy into it. There are some games on there. So there is a recycling game for the children on there, which is actually quite good. I've played it constantly along with a few other adults. So there are games about sorting and recycling that are out there. As we come around the schools, there are other products that we are developing, and we'll go out there to educate. But there is a raft of information out there that the schools can buy into, that children can buy into, that sells the benefits of recycling. But I would please ask people to look out for the recycling campaign that's going live. Certainly this side of Christmas. Yeah. Hopefully it should be out October, November at the latest, but it is worth a look.
Yeah, and I'm sure that'll be available on the website.
It will be, yes, it will be.
On our socials as well. Finally, sort of what are your hopes for the future of recycling with Lichfield District? I know you want to get the numbers back to first place.
I would love to see us get back to first place. We've been there before, and we can get there again. Yeah. There are wider aims that perhaps we ought to be aiming towards. So we have community groups that are running reuse centres around the borough. There's one in Burntwood on a regular basis on a Saturday morning, where we get this opportunity to take goods along that need repair so that we reuse them rather than throwing them out. As Lichfield Council and Lichfield residents, on the curbside, I would like us to improve what we're able to put out. I'd like us to be able to put out as much as we possibly can. That will be done by trying to improve the service as time goes on. It will be about trying to actually improve the offering of what you can actually put into your bins. It may be that changes come afoot that we will be able to start recycling food products. Yeah. It will be that we may be trying to get things like textiles into the equation at some point in the future. Yeah. But being able to actually recycle more products than we've currently got. But the real aim is I would like people of Lichfield to be proud of what they're achieving in terms of recycling. And I think at the moment they can be. I just, as I said, I can get a little bit greedy that competitive streak comes out in me, and I would love to see the residents of Lichfield and Tamworth to be back in that top recyclers in the country, where we can actually, I'm from Lichfield, this is what we do.
I'm with you on that. I completely agree. Okay. I've got to say, I've learned so much. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time, Harry. It's been appreciated.
It's been great. I've got to say, like, the stuff about the dual stream and everything, and how that actually works. I didn't know that before. So I've learned something.
It's worth seeing, and so what we will do is we will get this information onto our website, so we are able to see the process, and we can see that it's a real process. Kids all love it because they're actually seeing what's happening to the recycling. the engineers out there will be quite shocked by the systems and quite impressed by some of the technologies that's out there.
Yeah.
And the environmentalists among us will actually see that we are sending our stuff to the right places.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your time, Harry.
No worries. Thank you very much.
That was such a great interview.
Yeah, no, I learned a lot from it. I think one of the biggest points I took away was probably like where the recycling goes after you see it go into the truck.
Yeah.
Because I didn't really know that. And to hear that it all stays in the UK as well, which I didn't know. And the turnaround apparently 5 to 10 days. Like,
no, it's so quick.
So when you recycle a product, it can be something else.
Yeah. I think like just the thought of like, you know, just your Pepsi or Diet Coke, whatever can, that you just have like day to day, you don't really think anything of it, but like that could last forever.
Yeah.
I think that's insane to think about.
It could be used in a plane or a spaceship.
It could be your car. Like, you know, your next new car could have been, you know, from a Pepsi can you had a month ago. And I think that's such a crazy idea. Like, it makes recycling just seem even bigger than it already kind of is. And it kind of makes you think, whoa, like, it's actually impactful. Like, it's actually, you know, doing stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite crazy.
And as well, the business sort of side of it where, you know, referring to the recycling as a product, which you know, it is, it makes money for the council, and we see the effects of it in our district because the money we earn from it is spent on the district.
Exactly, like improving your recycling, reduce cost, more money to be spent, you know, improving just the community, the district, and it does. It kind of like impacts everybody's lives, like if you stick with your recycling.
Yeah.
I think it's so good to know as well. Like, obviously, we've just had the introduction, well, not just, but relatively recently with the paper being separate and cardboard, and just knowing that is, you know, in 2 different sections, you know, that is being properly utilised, and it is actually making such a big difference. Like the fact that they're already like pre-separated, saving so much money to actually be improving our lives day to day, like with the council saving money.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Right. I think that's kind of it for today.
Yeah.
Yep.
So just a reminder before we close off this episode, our music competition is still open. So for any aspiring young artists, the details will be in the description below.
Yeah. And thank you for listening, and we hope to see you next time.
See ya.
Bye.